I don't look. The thing for me, I looked at this, and the intriguing thing to me is, I mean, I'm not super puritanical. So if swingers want to have swingers clubs, that's fine. But it's the word speakeasy that's the thing that's interesting to me. Um, Speakeasy, it obviously it harkens back to Prohibition era,
Hmm.
and it made me think about something, Carrie. I'm going to make a case for this. The temperance movement are the original social justice Karens.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you 100%.
They were white women, Protestant white women, who were moralizing, and they used a lot of these same techniques. They started off, so the temperance movement started off as, first of all, as temperance, not prohibition. It started off as like, well, don't drink so much, drink in moderation, right? That's how it started. And it was predominantly persuasion, not coercion, right? It wasn't like this had to be illegal. It was they would spend time going around and explaining to people why drinking too much was bad, and so forth. But slowly over time, they did a couple things that I see repeated in the social justice movement. And again, because it's like angry white women, there's like a parallel here. I see a couple things. One, so they conflated, or they overloaded the term temperance, right? Or they misapplied it. It's a bait and switch. We're for temperance, and then like that becomes prohibition. But the other thing is, they started with persuasion, and that became coercion, and they used a lot of these same techniques. They used like, they'd show pictures of kids in like threadbare clothes, and like the banker foreclosing on the house because the husband was a drunk. So they like pulled all these like pull at your heartstrings kind of propaganda crap going on, and they realized, this is fascinating. So I think it's fascinating. In the early 19th century, there was a couple states that passed some laws. Like I think Maine passed. There's a Maine law that passed a law against alcohol consumption, but they were repealed. And so the first wave of temperance didn't really work, and they fixed it. By the late 19th century, they recognized a very important thing. They needed to indoctrinate kids, and there was a huge push to have, I think they call it like a Department of Scientific Temperance Instruction or something. Not scientific at all. They said things like, when you drink a drink of alcohol, it literally burns the skin on your throat, and like they just made shit up and indoctrinated kids, and they got lawmakers to agree that all these kids needed to be indoctrinated in temperance, like scientific temperance instruction. And actually, the woman behind it, what's her name? Was it Mary Hall? She was like, she turned out to having like, it turns out that she was like a kind of like what you would imagine a social justice grifter is. She's like, well, you need my seal of approval to publish this book, and you got to pay me to give your seal of approval. And she forced them to put like quote woke temperance woke stuff in books. So like people would publish a book, and they would have stuff in there. In fact, we would even say, there's some interviews with people who were like, well, obviously I don't believe the stuff I put in the book, but I had to put it in or else I wouldn't have gotten her seal of approval
Seal of
on the
approval.
book. And she would like, it turns out after she died, they found out that she had like a separate fund that she had set up that was, she would like demand cuts of the books that were published, and like, just, she was just
Oh,
a
I totally
bitch.
believe this.
Like, she was just
I
a
thought you were
horrible
gonna
person.
say, I thought you were gonna say after she died, they found that she had a secret whiskey still in her
No,
basement or something. Because a lot of times people are
that's not
hypocrites
surprising.
too.
Yeah,
Yeah, they would be
that
like
wouldn't be
totally
surprising.
drinking at home, but pushing this temperance movement on everybody else. It's like the politicians who are so vocally opposed to gay marriage, but then turn out to be secretly having gay relationships. It's
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah. But I
That,
think they were the original social justice Karens.
oh yeah, they were.
They totally did this, and there wasn't like, I don't think most people wanted prohibition, but They were activists who got their way, and they got an amendment passed to the Constitution. That's
Yeah.
crazy. That's
It's just what
crazy.
this is what the same kind of Puritans that we have today want to do. I mean,
Hmm.
they want nothing more than to have the government force their opinions on morality
Yeah.
onto us. And
Yeah.
the mask mandates, the people who are pushing for the mask mandates and stuff are no different.